राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां। हर गंगाधर नीलकंठ पाहि मां। हर हर गंगाधर नीलकंठ पाहि मां। राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां। राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां। हर हर गंगाधर नीलकंठ पाहि मां। हर हर गंगाधर नीलकंठ पाहि मां। राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां। राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां। राम राम सीता राम रामचंद्र पाहि मां। राम राम सीता राम रामचंद्र पाहि मां। राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां। राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां। राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां। मन राम भज मन राम पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। भज मन राम भज मन राम पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। भज मन गोकुल भज मन मुरहर भज मन यदुवर भज मन मुरहर भज मन रघुवर भज मन राम। भज मन रघुवर भज मन राम। भज मन राम भज मन राम पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। भज मन राम भज मन राम पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। भज मन गोविंद भज मन आनंद भज मन गोविंद भज मन आनंद मन मुकुंद मन राम। मन मुकुंद मन राम। भज मन राम भज मन राम पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। भज मन राम भज मन राम पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। भज मन योधव भज मन माधव भज मन यादव भज मन माधव भज मन केशव भज मन राम। भज मन केशव भज मन राम। भज मन राम भज मन राम पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। भज मन राम भज मन राम पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। पांडुरंग श्रीरंग भज मन राम। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Together we will chant Bhaj Govindam verses 20 to 31. Bhaj Govindam verses 20 to 31. Bhagavad-gītā kiñcitadhītā gangā jalalavakarnika pītā sakrudapi yena murari samarcha kriyate tasya yamena na charcha punarapi jananam punarapi maranam punarapi janani jఠरे शयनम इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे रथ्याचर्पठ विरचित कंतः पुण्या पुण्य विवर्जित पंतः योगी योग नियोजित चेतो रमते बालोन्मत्तवदेव कस्त्वं कोऽहं कुत आयातः कामे जननी को मे तातः इति परिभावय सर्वमसारं विश्वं त्यक्त्वा स्वप्नविचारम् त्वयि मयि चान्यत्रैको विष्णुः व्यर्थं कूप्यसि मय्यसहिष्णुः भवसमचित्त सर्वत्र त्वं वाञ्छस्य चिराद् विष्णो त्वम् शत्रौ मित्रे पुत्रे बन्धौ मा कुरु यत्नं विग्रह संधौ सर्वस्मिन्नपि पश्यात्मानं सर्वस्रोऽसृज भेदज्ञानम् कामं क्रोधं लोभं मोहं त्यक्त्वात्मानं पश्यति सोऽहम् आत्मज्ञानविहीना मूढो ते पच्यन्ते नरकनिगूढः गेयं गीता नाम सहस्रं ध्येयं श्रीपति रूपमजस्रम् नेयं सज्जन संगे चेतं देयं दीनजनाय च वेत्तम् सुखतः क्रियते रामा भोगः पश्चाद्यन्त शरीरे रोगः यद्यपि लोके मरणं शरणं तदपि न मुञ्चति पापाचरणम् अर्थमनर्थं भावय नित्यं नास्ति ततः शुकलेशः सत्यम् पुत्रादपि धनभाजां भीतिः सर्वत्रैषा विहिता रीतिः प्राणायामं प्रत्याहारं नित्य विचारम् जाप्य समेत समाधिविधानं पूर्ववधानं महदवधानम् गुरुचरणाम्भुज निर्भर भक्तः संसाराद्य चिराद्भव मुक्तः सेन्द्रियमानस नियमादेवं द्रक्ष्यसि निज हृदयस्थं देवम् भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति डुक्रुन्करणे. So in the previous class we have been studying this great topic of personality chart, wherein we studied about the various aspects of personality, and personality aspects what we so far covered is jnanam and karma, action, knowledge and action and actor, and we have been studying the intellect. Intellect is that we covered almost. We are going to have a quick recap because this is the most important for our life. So what is the quality of intellect we possess, and what are the types of intellects one is supposed to have for the person who is of three types: sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. So all these gradations show that what quality or what percentage of sattva, rajas and tamas, what type of equipments our personality has, we must be able to figure out, so that we step up from tamas to rajas to sattva as quickly as possible to get out of this bondage of the world and suffering and get to the ultimate state of peace and bliss and enlightenment. So for that we have to be thoroughly understand these various aspects. So in this we have come to this intellect. So sattvic intellect, rajasic intellect, tamasic intellect. So what type of intellect one must be very, very clear. Sattvic intellect is that intellect. Intellect is the very first point of what is intellect. Intellect is that equipment in you which thinks, reasons, judges, decides. Any course of action, whatever you would like to execute, intellect is that which scrutinizes, examines, and takes a decision before executing. So that intellect is having three types. One is sattvic intellect, and another two are rajasic and tamasic. Now sattvic intellect is that intellect which is having very, very crystal clear about what path of action, what path to take it up and what path to give up, which is clearly distinguishes between paths of action, paths of renunciation, what to take up in life, what to give up in life. The intellect has a clarity. So the intellect clearly tells you what you have to take up in life, what has to be discarded. So according to your own understanding. So for example, every human being is born for only one mission in life. What is the mission? Only to discover the self. So any path which takes you towards the self, towards the Atman, the intellect tells you to take it up. And any path which is taking you away from the self, going towards the world of objects and beings and indulgences and this suffering and bondage, all these things, the intellect tells you, get out of it. So if you have sattvic intellect, you would know what is to take up, what is to give up. So that is the first definition of sattvic intellect. You know sattvic intellect, Vibhishana got when he is living in Ravanasura's palace with his brothers, Ravana and Kumbhakarna. He lived with his own family members, with his own brothers, blood relationship. But the intellect in him told that whatever actions, whatever lifestyle, whatever conduct of Ravana and Kumbhakarna, his intellect, Vibhishana's intellect told that is not right. So he got out of that Lanka palace, which is his own birthplace. He went out of the way and crossed the oceans and gone other side, which is foreign place, unknown place, and joined the enemy's army, enemy's party, which is Rama and Rama's party, Rama's people. So this is, you can clearly see what intellect Vibhishana possesses. You have to get to become Vibhishana in life if you want to understand what is sattvic intellect. Through examples you can project. People all over the world, they don't take up this Rama's path, the path of high evolution, path of supreme self, path of enlightenment. They are scared. They don't understand the value of the path of higher knowledge, path of Vedanta, path of spiritual enlightenment. Nobody is interested because they don't have sattvic intellect. It is as simple as that. You have to understand. So, having chosen the path of action and path of renunciation, path of self-realization or path of self-development, whatever you call it, towards the Supreme God, the same sattvic intellect will help you. The second point of clarity called, no doubt you wanted to reach God, but at this moment, what type of personality, inclinations you are born with, what swadharma, what paradharma, what your nature is, what is your inclinations, what is your proclivity, propensities, what is your, are you inclined in politics, are you inclined in mathematics, are you inclined in teaching, are you inclined in which field of interest, swadharma, one's own nature, are you a lawyer, are you a doctor, are you a business person, what type of field of interest you are born with, the sattvic intellect clearly distinguishes. Today, people take up field of interest based on no proper reason, all based on unreasonable way, in the sense not compatible to their nature. They take up field based on lucrativeness. Market is very good, they take up. Our parents, ancestors' business, they jump into it. Or some kind of soothsayer, some kind of, external forces, rather than analyzing what I am very good at, what is my tendencies, what is my propensities, proclivity, inherent tendencies, inherent nature, what I am suitable. This must be very, very clear. If not, whole life you will be taking a paradharma, opposite to your nature, alien nature, and you get into all sorts of troubles later on, and you suffer. And I met any number of people, parents have a hospital and parents forces the children to become doctors. And if a person has a business in his child, he pushes to hotel business. Any number of students you can see. So this is a very sad plight of today's Humanity not able to figure out the Swadharma and Paradharma. Shreyam Swadharmo Vigunaha. Paradharmo Bhayavaha. In today's morning also, that was the discussion happened. What is your nature? You should take the field according to that nature so that you will flourish in that nature. That is the second. Sattvic intellect helps you in second point. Third point is having chosen that Swadharma, one's own field of interest, engineering or medicine or a law or a business or politics or acting or teaching. It doesn't matter whatever field it is compatible to your field. Having taken up, the Sattvic intellect helps you to execute activities according to obligatory duties and responsibilities, not based on whims and fancies of your mind. Mind will say, take a holiday, what is this headache, Sunday, what is this torture? No, intellect tells you, this is your job, you have to do it by do or die basis. You must get on to the action without personal likes and dislikes, personal feelings, personal interest. That is the Sattvic intellect. If you have a Sattvic intellect, you execute obligatory duties and responsibilities in life. This is the third aspect of Sattvic intellect. So these are the most important, because a human being alone has this freedom of choice of action, what to choose, what to reject. A human being has this potential of that capacity because he is provided with the intellect. Then comes the clarity of Sattvic intellect, has clarity of planning the course of life. It plans for the entire life. If you have Sattvic intellect, you don't carried away by this feather in the breeze life, jumping, hopping from one place to another place, no direction, no dimension, no. What is the ultimate goal? What is to be achieved in life? What is the path? What are the action plans? Everything is crystal clear if you have Sattvic intellect. This is the great power of a human being alone has this intellect, and in that Sattvic intellect is plans for life itself. You see the Guruji's life, 94 years, he has never wavered, never confused, because 100% clarity, and even 94 he is still carrying on his work undisturbed, happily, because of Sattvic intellect he possesses. You can see great people. It could be any field. It could be Abdul Kalam, Sattvic intellect. So various fields you can see people have Sattvic intellect. They know exactly what is the course of life, what to choose in their life. And also Sattvic intellect clearly helps you what is to be feared, what is not to be feared, what is dangerous, what is not dangerous. People take to sensuality, materiality. People live on loans. People live on all sorts of indulgences, senses, freely, happily, carelessly. But Sattvic intellect, if you have, there is a red bulb. I should not be sense indulgent. The senses are deadly. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. They are all deadly. You have to be scared of them. But people are not aware. This Sattvic intellect tells you, understands what is to be feared, what ought not to be feared. Certain facets of the world is dreadful. They are detrimental, even fatal. Other facets are beneficial, valuable. Most people in the world invite sorrow, what is fearful, and repel what is beneficial for them. They are freely indulged in their deadly senses, but they dread the path of knowledge. If you tell, study Vedanta, people are scared. What is this? Now you are asking about Vedanta. Because of lack of Sattvic intellect, you don't encourage yourself, you don't encourage your children, your families, your relatives to study Vedanta. Because of people don't possess Sattvic intellect. What is beneficial, what is elevating, what is taking you to the peace and bliss and immortality. People discard, people reject, people repel and refuse to accept, to follow, whereas people happily follow worldly aspects of sensuality, materiality. This is lack of sattvic intellect. That is the quality of human beings. So, path of knowledge and renunciation. Nobody wants to take up renunciation or detachment. Alexander Pope observed fools rush where angels fear to tread. Fools rush where angels fear to tread. So people carry fools, people carry into this kind of thing, and angels fear to tread. So another serious problem is that human faces in his self-inflicted bondage. What is that self-inflicted bondage? So the one has the freedom of self. So self is helping. Self, you see, the self gives you peace and happiness and freedom from the bondage of body, mind, intellect. So you have to understand what is the self, what is the matter. Spirit is the Atman, which is the self, which helps you get you freedom. Whereas the person who is caught up in the body, mind, intellect, he gets bound, he gets enslaved, he suffers. So if you have a sattvic intellect, you have this idea of true freedom and what is real freedom out of this bondage of body, mind, intellect. So the body, mind, intellect gets you into perceptions, actions, emotions, and thoughts. This will make you attached to the world. So another serious problem that human faces is his self-inflicted bondage. He has lost the freedom of the self. Whoever discovers the self, he has got the freedom. Sattvic intellect draws the distinction between bondage and freedom. So if you have sattvic intellect, you know instantly what is bondage, what is suffering, what is freedom, what is happiness. So this life of birth and death the human being is going through, it is a suffering, it is a womb of sorrow. It is, you know, in Bhajagovindam, Adi Shankaracharya says, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, iha samsare, bhavudustare, krupyapare, pahi murare. Repeated birth, repeated death, repeatedly lying in the mother's womb. Whole life is sorrow ridden, suffering ridden, and physical suffering, mental suffering. Physical pain, mental suffering. These are all the two things every human being has to go through. But whereas the moment if you have a sattvic intellect, you reject this body, mind, intellect and identify with the Supreme Self and pursue the Self till you get to that Self. So you have this interest in freedom. The human being gets freedom only when he identifies with the spirit in him, Atman, not the body, mind, intellect. So if you have sattvic intellect, you get the true freedom and you pursue the path of true freedom. So it exposes, sattvic intellect exposes the human weakness. What is the human weakness? Caught up in the world of name, fame, power, position, status, money and family. These are all the things which are everybody's craving and caught up in this world and going through this repeated suffering and sorrow. So if you have sattvic intellect, you enjoy the world, you be happy with the world, but you never get caught up. Your focus of interest, your attention, your concentration upon the self all the time. How to get immortality, how to get true liberation, how to be happy. That is the only commitment a sattvic intellect, if you have, you will pursue the self and reach the self and get enlightenment. The self alone is the seat of true liberation, free from persecutions of the world. World will make you suffer. So therefore, where is the true freedom? Get out to the world and enjoy this liberation of the Supreme God. Thus, freed from bondage, a sattvic intellect directs you, a seeker, to spiritual enlightenment. Sattvic intellect alone helps you to get the true freedom, true enlightenment, and birthless, deathless. That's what your original nature. You are the spirit. You are the enlightened person. You are the self. You have to get to that self by any cost in this very lifetime. If you have sattvic intellect, it urges you, it ushers you towards reaching the self. Rajasic intellect is that. Next we get on to the Rajasic intellect. Rajasic intellect gives you wrong understanding of righteousness and unrighteousness. So, if you see, Rajasic intellect is a desire-ridden activity, frenzied activity, worries activity. So, you are acting with the intellect, have no clarity. When your intellect is not 100% clear, your actions always mixed up with your desires. So your ego, your desires. Therefore, your intellect is contaminated, colored by decision making. You have no proper understanding. You have a wrong understanding of life. So you see Ravanasura or Duryodhana, they are all having Rajasic intellect. So they misunderstand what is righteousness, what is unrighteousness. So they take up wrong actions as right and they go into because of wrong understanding. So an erroneous concept of virtue and vice. What is virtue? What is vice? They misunderstand. It wrongly interprets ethical and unethical values of life. What is ethical? What is unethical? So, this erroneous concept of virtue and vice, it wrongly interprets, knows not obligatory duties and responsibilities in life. So, he does activities based on whims and fancies. Because if you see Duryodhana, he wants personal benefit, he wants selfish interest. What is the kingdom supposed to be shared between the cousins, royal cousins? He selfishly grabs and he poorly thinks that everything belongs to him. This is called Rajasic intellect. So he know not what are the obligatory duties and responsibilities and what is the mind's likes and dislikes. So he errs in performing those actions. He does not know how to execute those actions. So you have to understand what is virtue and vice, what is good and bad. So if you are having attachments and desires, you will not be able to perform righteous actions because of your ego and egocentric desires. Our selfishness clamps that intellect, which is thinking power. So your thinking gets colored, thinking gets, misapplication. So you can't your decisions cannot be proper. So because of personal interests involved in that, that's why it is called Rajasic intellect. It gives you a wrong understanding of righteousness and unrighteousness, an erroneous concept of virtue and vice, wrongly interprets the ethical and unethical values of life. So always manipulates unscrupulous ways, for executing actions, selfish ways, and he justifies every action. He justifies. Corruption is good. We need to have corruption, and caste system is good. We have to have caste system in our day-to-day life. All these misunderstandings everywhere. So every aspect of life you bring in uncooked, undigested, no clear concepts. Next comes tamasic intellect. Tamasic intellect is more worse. What is tamasic intellect? Is that intellect which is shrouded in ignorance. It is totally ignorant. Therefore, it functions what is wrong as right, what is bad as good, what is unrighteousness as righteousness, and righteousness as unrighteousness. It is crystal clear. So that is tamasic intellect. So if you have a tamasic intellect, you function totally in a dangerous life, which regards unrighteousness as righteousness, dharma as adharma, adharma as dharma, totally opposite. Understands virtue as vice and vice as virtue, wrong as right, views everything perverted. It leads you towards your destruction. So that intellect always takes you to degradation and death. You kill yourself. You have tamasic intellect. Means what is most dangerous for it is right. Like people, commit suicides. People commit all sorts of blunders in life. They conclude suicide is the solution for a problem. So they are very clear about it. So this kind of arguments, what is bad, they consider it as good. So tamasic intellect is deadly. It is shrouded with ignorance. So when you have a stomach pain, you don't go to doctor. You say that in our village, one oil massage fellow is there. He will take care of me. All these fellows are bad. Doctors are bad. They'll make money. They don't treat properly. So you'll go to that village and try to do some oil massage. And within a few weeks, months, he will die of cancer. So there are so many episodes because it is intellect full of ignorance. Your decisions are based on ignorance, shrouded in ignorance. Very, very interesting. Which regards the unrighteousness as righteousness. People say yoga is bad, bhoga is good. All ulta they talk. If you stop yoga, it will kill you. You should not do yoga. You should not stop in between. All sorts of variety, cranky, stupid ideas without having any knowledge, any rationality behind. Unrighteousness as righteousness. Most deadly quality. It leads you on towards destruction. So steadfastness. So next we come to the personality, the important aspect of dhruti. Dhruti means steadfastness. What is the steadfastness? There are two. Steadfastness means consistency of purpose. Whatever you take up, whatever you course of action, whatever goal you set, the quality of committed, consistent continuation till you reach that goal is the nature. That quality is called steadfastness, dhruti, consistency of purpose. Now, this consistency also three qualities, three types. What are they? Sattvic consistency, rajasic consistency, tamasic consistency. There are three types. So, what do you mean by sattvic consistency? Sattvic steadfastness. If you have a sattvic steadfastness, you will be consistently pursuing the Supreme Self alone, nothing else. Consistently until you merge into the Self. unswerving consistency one maintains in the pursuit of the supreme goal of enlightenment, goal of self-realization. That is sattvic consistency, sattvic shraddha, sattvic dhriti. Very, very important. Those people like Hanuman, like Prahlada, like all great Mahatmas, they have one consistency of purpose. What is that? Reaching the self in this lifetime. If you have that committed goal and path to reach the goal and pursue it with the diligent, committed, consistently till you reach that goal, then you are said to have sattvic dhriti, the firmness in restraining other activities, all activities of the body, mind, and intellect, and to steer clear of worldly entanglement and channelizing all efforts to attain the spiritual enlightenment. So you have to understand. So all activities of the physical body, all activities of the mind, all activities of the intellect, you have body, mind, intellect, thinking, feeling, and acting. Every effort is in connection towards the self only. Like Hanumanji was given after the entire Ramayana over, and Sita came back, some garland has been garlanded, the diamond's garland, to Hanuman for his efforts. Then Hanuman took these diamonds and started listening to each and every diamond, and he heard, it seems, if that is not voicing Rama, he threw it away. So it is a great symbolic representation of guidance to humanity. If you have sattvic dhriti, you question every feeling, you question every action, you question every perception, every thought. What is that question? Is this thought takes me to the self or not? Is this feeling, is this relationship, is this friendship, is this activity take me towards the self? I take it. If not, I reject. So activities of the body, physical actions, perceptions, and activities of the mind, feelings and emotions, desires, are they taking me towards the self? I do it. If they are not taking me to the self, I drop it. This is called sattvic dhriti. So sattvic dhriti alone is the dhriti which is firmness of restraining activities of the body, mind, intellect, to steer clear of the entanglement, worldly entanglements. So sattvic dhriti will not allow you to get attached to the world, to get entangled in the world, and makes it crystal clear a detached life because you are attached to the self. So until unless you are having that awareness, you can't be detached from your entanglements. So, and it helps you channelize your all efforts to attain spiritual enlightenment only. That is sattvic dhriti. You can hardly see sattvic dhriti in humanity today. They're all having rajasic and tamasic. Who is interested in self and self alone? You need to be Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. You need to be Vivekananda. That kind of quality of commitment you should have to reach the self in this lifetime. Every perception your eyes are using, for what purpose? You see everything. Focus is you are experiencing only to get back to the self. You are not interested in sights. You are interested in that which enables the eyes to see is the self. I have to reach the self. Similarly, eyes, ears, nose, I am taking food. What is that food? Prasad, I am taking only to get energy of the body to exude actions which take me towards the self, Atman, not to get caught up in this world of bondage. Sattvic dhriti. Every perception, every action, every emotion. You are talking to wife or husband or daughter or son or father or mother. What is the aim of all these emotions? Only to get back to the self, to reach the Atman, not to get caught up and increase your, sufferings of attachments. So that is Sattvic Dhriti, all clear of worldly entanglement and channelizing all efforts to attain spiritual enlightenment. Sattvic Dhriti. If you don't have Sattvic Dhriti, you can't have that fixation of the self as the goal. Then you get into the worldly goals, limited goals. What is that? I wanted to have worldly goals. I want to become richest person. Nothing wrong, but that is all Rajasic Dhriti. So to become richest person, he will be working day and night, committedly, consistently to pursue the worldly goal. I want to become any great personality, name, fame in the world. Nothing wrong, but that is all under Rajasic Dhriti. He will consistently pursue that goal, but the goal is limited to the world only, periphery of the world, boundary to the world. That which is clinging to the duties and responsibilities, you have to be imposed upon yourself. See, the people, you see, they are workaholic, they become duties become favor of doing. They become worried and anxiety for this attachment to duties, attachment to responsibilities. They are all this. This is the consistency with which you pursue the world with agitations and anxieties and attachments is the Rajasic Dhriti. The duties are your own creation, but these people with Rajasic Dhriti, they are crushed by their own duties and responsibilities. And the duties should not lord over you, but duties lord over them. Not realizing, you turn pale at the thought of duty and responsibility. So you become agitated, distressed, stress and strain, worries and anxieties. Every human being today, the consistency with which you maintain worries and anxieties indicates you have a Rajasic Dhriti. Worried and anxious, stress and strain, inconsistency in that maintaining, that is Rajasic Dhriti. And get into favor of doing, hurried, worried, I have to do so many duties. They talk about all the time, I am duty oriented. They wanted some kind of a buttering all the time. He is very good worker, like that. They want name and fame. Not really. The true worker is ever free, ever relaxed. He does duty with detachment. That is Sattvic. But here, Rajasic. They just want to show off. Morning they'll go to office, till midnight they'll be in the office doing nothing. But they say that we are in the office. What is that office? Nothing. But this is what Rajasic Dhriti. They are consistent in continuity of the worries and anxieties of that mind. With that they take up duties and responsibilities and they have to do the favor of doing. This is Rajasic Dhriti. Because basically worldly goals, they don't have any higher goal beyond personal interests, selfish interests. They have only, selfish, self-centered, limited goals. I want to become something. It's more I, ego, rather than the goal itself. So these are all the Rajasic Dhriti. You maintain that kind of personality. You have to be very careful. Also, every human being is constantly driven by two motivations. You see, he is clearly telling the world is their end. I want to acquire entire world and enjoy what I have acquired. Acquisition, enjoyment. Kanchanam, Kamini. These are the two things. Rajasic Dhriti, with which they dedicate their lives consistently to pursue the world, extract the world and enjoy personal benefits. This is their life, but very determined, very consistent. My whole life I have dedicated for what? For myself and my wife. And I want to buy gold and increase my empire. This is the Rajasic Dhriti. They don't have any higher purpose, higher goal beyond this acquisition and enjoyment. They don't know. This is the very, very interesting part of Rajasic Dhriti. If you have a Rajasic Dhriti, you pursue acquisition and enjoyment, and that is the be all and end all of life. To acquire wealth and enjoy what is acquired. For this purpose, you develop attachment to his work and anxiety for the fruits thereof. So consistent, they are very committed, consistent for the results. Their mind is fully committed for the result orientation. Consistently maintain focus on the result. That is Rajasic Dhriti. The consistency with which he works this manner is again Rajasic. So Rajasic Dhriti is more deadly. So these people, they suffer from all sorts of diseases, physically, emotionally. What are the diseases? The blood pressure, blood sugar, bypass, because it's a consistent for long time with this disease of worries and anxieties. So if you have worries and anxieties once in a while, no problem. But Dhriti, the committed, consistent pursuing this world for this kind of mannerism takes them health toll. They get stressed out, depressed, worried, anxiety. They're fatigued, they're tired, they get, they're very young age, they become old. Energies are dissipated because all the time worries of the past, anxiety for the results of the future. What I get it, what I'm going to get, what I'm going to get. All the time in the future, all the time in the past, feeling insecurity, feeling inferiority, all the time comparison, all sorts of things. They maintain consistency in that manner, they get this suffering and sorrow. That is the consistency they maintain. The consistency with which you work in this manner is Rajasic. Tamasic steadfastness. What is tamasic steadfastness? The steadfastness is consistency, but the quality of consistency is we are discussing. The first quality is reaching the self, sattvic consistency. Rajasic consistency is consistency with which worldly things you want for personal enjoyment. This is Rajasic consistency. And tamasic consistency is you are very much consistent with your foolish imaginations, fearing, grieving, depressing, despairing, all the time negative thinking. You are very consistent in maintaining those negative thoughts. Whole life they'll maintain. What is that? And that ghosts and spirits, imagination, hallucination. Tomorrow this whole world will close because of corona. So or something. So they keep on imaginary world, hallucinations. They are not in reality. That is, they are consistent in which a person foolishly keeps imagining. They are daydreaming, they are imagining foolishly. They are, tomorrow this building will collapse, or this stock market will collapse, or people may die, or accident will happen, or black cat crossed, something will happen. I haven't seen sun, therefore moon will come and attack me. Somewhere or other they will talk all rubbish, imaginations. Ghosts, night 12 o'clock, in the night when I was sleeping, in my corner of the room, one ghost came and told, how are you? Where are you come from? All nonsense they talk. And they'll ask you, you don't believe ghost? I believe. So they ask all the time, they talk all the time, these ghosts and spirits, imaginations, all the time fearing. One fellows are there, one family. The moment they were told corona in the society for past 1 year, that fellow locked himself in the room and not coming out. Totally psychic cases. He is not taking care of his basic necessities also. He is stopped, he is closed, fear of corona. They live in fear, grieving all the time, crying. You see, how are you if you ask anybody? What are this life? Array, if you have success also, what is there? If you are failure also, what is? Every time crying only. Grieving nature. Then they grieve on themselves or they grieve on others. But grieving is constant and consistent in grieving. Consistent in maintenance of that grief. So very interesting fellows. They think that is positive quality. What is that? We should not always, you should be crying face, gloomy face, depressed face. That is the good thing for you should be like that. They will give logic and reason for that. These people are tamasic steadfastness. They are following. They maintain consistency in fearing, grieving, and despairing. Despair means depressed. They genuinely depressed. They have no energy, they have no interest in life. They want to die. That kind of thing. Tomorrow or after tomorrow they are going to die. Like that only they live. Depression. And maintains an arrogant attitude in life. If you go and argue them, they will tell you, you don't know anything, I know everything. They give big lecture. So they maintain an arrogant way of living. With that consistency of these qualities of imagination, hallucination, they give logic and reason. You know, ghost comes. You are a kid, you do not know. I know everything. Arrogant attitude in life they maintain. These are the people, negative-minded people maintain that life consistently is the tamasic steadfastness. So, the steadfastness is three varieties. Sattvic steadfastness. You maintain consistency of perceptions and actions, emotions and thoughts till you achieve the goal of enlightenment. You never falter. You channelize every moment, every second, every perception, every action of the body, every emotion of the mind, every relationship, every experience. You try to use it for enlightenment only. That is sattvic dhriti, sattvic consistency. If you are dropped down, you get into rajasic dhriti, means consistency you maintain with which you acquire the world and enjoy the world. What you ask anybody, what is life? Nothing but earning, storing and enjoying and indulging and dying. What is there? You go all out, live full life, happily enjoy, indulge and die. This is the rajasic dhriti. They don't have higher purpose. They don't have unselfish cause. They don't have higher vision, a noble ideal, a purpose in life. They don't have. They are all selfish, self-centered existence in this world. That is their pursuit. Consistently they pursue. So these people are called for following that, maintaining that. They are all the time worried and anxiety, stress and strain, because they don't have unselfish or higher cause. So rajasic dhriti is, though with that consistency you maintain acquisition and enjoyment. And finally, tamasic dhriti. Tamasic dhriti is that consistency with which you are imagining, fearing, grieving, despairing, hallucinatory, all the time in, some kind of mental disease people have of imaginations, worry, all this depressed, fearing, all this unrational, unscientific way of living, that what are the blind beliefs and blind rituals, blind faiths, all this blindly they follow. These are all tamasic dhriti. They continuously go to a particular place of worship, temple or church or mosque. They put all sorts of lemons and everything. Every Monday they'll put one lemon on the road. 1 week, 2 weeks, consistently they get the freedom from that ghost. This kind of activities they take up. You see, when you go to the road, there will be, red chili and lemons. And they crush them and they think that something will happen. These are all fellows who are tamasic steadfastness, tamasic. No idea at all what they are doing. Ignorance and consistency with which they are fearing. If you don't do that, something will happen. So all sorts of imaginary world they live, hallucinations of ghosts and spirits. In fact, in today world, most of them live in this tamasic steadfastness and rajasic steadfastness. Vast majority. Either they have their goal of life of tamasic or rajasic. Hardly anybody of that caliber of Hanumanji, of that caliber of Prahlada, their life is dedicated to the highest goal of enlightenment, highest goal of human perfection. They dedicated their life to perfect themselves till they reach that goal. They don't give up. They maintain the consistency. That is the human dignity and prestige. The very purpose and mission of human being is to reach the permanent happiness which you are constantly seeking in the world, searching in the world. Immortality, happiness, and real happiness, permanent happiness. Where it is lying? It is lies in the self. It is lies in the Atman. So they understand that goal very clearly. Where is my destination? Like a river enters to ocean. River knows exactly where is its ultimate goal and it never stops. The river, if you put a dam, it will go under it or over it. If the stones are coming, it pulverizes into pebbles and sand. If it comes to a valley, it will jump. It will have mountain across. It will track around the mountain and go. But it will never stop until it reaches the goal of ocean to become infinite happiness. Similarly, friends, every human being should understand this river. You are born like a river in this world. You have individuality. Your mission in life is to go to the immortality of the enlightened self, Atman, the spiritual emancipation, liberation, freedom from this bondage. That is the ultimate goal. If you maintain that goal in and through all your body, mind, and intellect activities of perceptions and feelings and thoughts, you have a sattvic dhriti. You are in this lifetime, you become Hanuman. There is no doubt. You become any perfect human being. And you go through whatever your name, fame, power, position, your family, you enjoy everything, but you don't stop with them. You use them as a means to reach that ultimate end. You don't consider this world, this life as end in itself. Whereas a Rajasic Dhruti, a person who is a Rajasic steadfastness, he considers this world, this life as an end in itself. He can't think beyond. His goal is to indulge and die. That's all. So that acquisition and enjoyment is the ultimate mission, and he consistently maintains that pursuit. That is Rajasic Dhriti. And Tamasic Dhriti is worse than that. There is no goal in life. All the time living a life of fear, life of imagination, hallucination, life of depression, life of grief. They are constantly some other thing they are suffering. This is Tamasic Dhriti. Consistently they maintain. If you are with them, you will become depressed. So one example Swamiji gave, one great IAS officer, or some kind of education, big fellow in Dubai, it seems, he met. He always talks about negative, it seems. What is that? See, once this entire petrol in Dubai and oil wells are over, what is going to happen? People will simply drop dead, and anyway, they are consuming so much. So any moment, this entire oil wells and petrol wells will be over. So the statistics he has got, he will analyze every statistics, and he told Swamiji that the world is going to end because petrol is going to end. So what is that? So this is kind of a negative thinking. So some people will have, these people come under tamasic steadfastness. So we have covered these two topics clearly, completely. One is intellect, another one is steadfastness. Intellect, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Steadfastness, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. It is our bounden duty to step up. If we have this tamas and rajas intellect, you should step up to sattvic and try to fix the goal of Supreme God, the self, and pursue the self by studying Vedanta regularly in and through our day-to-day duties and responsibilities, our own activities. There is nothing wrong with anything, whatever you are doing, but you should have this goal or awareness, acute awareness of the goal of the Supreme Self and pursue consistently. Then you have sattvic shraddha, sattvic commitment, sattvic consistency, as well as you have sattvic intellect, and with which you will be enjoying the peace and bliss, as well as you will achieve success and progress in this life, and you will function happily until you reach the goal of enlightenment. This is the topic. We will take up the further, happiness, sukham in the next class. Thank you very much. Hari Om.